What's up guys, thanks for joining me for another fun Fallout 4 video on the Skooled Zone. A couple of months ago I posted a video asking viewers to leave suggestions and vote on what they thought were the craziest creatures in Fallout 4. I wanted to make it a viewer forum type atmosphere to gather a consensus on what everybody thought about the topic. And I got a pretty overwhelming response as well as a ton of good ideas. More suggestions in fact than I can fit into a top 10 type video. But alas, I've taken the most suggested creatures from your input and compiled them into this video. The craziest creatures in Fallout 4. Most of the creatures I had already encountered in past gaming walkthroughs or included in some of my tips and tricks videos. A few were a bit more elusive though, and it took me a while to get good footage of them. But after putting it all together, I think you'll have fun with this. In a way, it turned out to be kind of a greatest hits video. It was kind of fun going back through archive footage and compiling everything. So what I'll do is I'll count down from 10 to 1 based on a combination of viewer input and personal opinion. I wish I could have included everyone's suggestions because there was a ton of good ones, but I wanted to keep this video to a manageable length and still be able to throw in a cool factoid here and there, since that's what I do here on the Skooled Zone. So here's a real quick list of the creatures that didn't make the cut, but are still fantastic suggestions. Who knows, if this video does really well, then maybe I'll make a part 2. Now as I go through the creatures that did make the cut, I'll separate them with bumpers where you can also see the viewer names that made those suggestions. I sincerely appreciate all the great input, so this is just a way to say thanks and give you guys some shoutouts in the process. It probably goes without saying that there might be some spoilers if you haven't completed some of the missions where the creatures are encountered. So fair warning on that. And if you want to see any of the full videos where these creatures were encountered, I always include a video reference section in the description of my videos so you can see all the original content. Alright then, let's get crazy! We couldn't start off this video without one of the craziest creatures in Fallout 4, the alien. This is footage from a whole video I made about how to encounter the alien and get his legendary alien blaster. In fact, that video starts with some unique footage of the alien spacecraft flying directly over my head. Pretty amazing actually, so definitely go check out that video if you haven't seen it already. Alright, so after reaching the crash site, the alien is hobbled into a nearby cave. I took my time taking him out here because it was just hilarious watching him lurch about with his awkward gait. So creepy. They did a great job animating him. Too bad he was hostile though. He would have made a great traveling companion, wouldn't he? But alas, I had to take him down if I wanted that alien blaster. Went down pretty easily with a sneak attack. Poor sap. Perfect. And there's the blaster. Next we have the big bad behemoth. Interestingly enough, the concept of the behemoth comes from the Bible. The book of Job to be exact. It's described as a hulking creature with supernatural strength created by God during Job's trials and tribulations. Now as you'll notice in this video, I'll try to showcase all the unique versions of these creatures when I can. I've run into a lot of behemoths and made some fun videos about them. In fact, the last monster matchup featured the striker and the big boy versus a pretty epic behemoth. But there are a few unique behemoths in the game. One of them of course is Swan. This footage is from my second monster matchup where I took on Swan with the Deliverer. Next there's Grun, another unique behemoth that can be found in the Vim Pop Factory from Far Harbor. Had some fun toying with him. Alright, the next creature is definitely crazy, the fog crawler. Now I tried my best to get footage of Far Harbor's unique fog crawler called the Shipbreaker. Unfortunately, I could not get the quest to trigger. That's actually one of the reasons it took me so long to make this video. In between making other videos, I kept trying to get that quest to trigger. I later read that there's a glitch where it just doesn't trigger sometimes. Oh well, I tried. What I did though was go to the area where the Shipbreaker is supposed to spawn and instead found an enraged fog crawler, which is essentially the same thing, just without the unique name. In fact, I lucked out and found it fighting with a legendary lantern angler, which is definitely another crazy creature in Fallout 4, so bonus! Took him down pretty easily, and now he comes after me. So what I do from here is toy with the creature a bit so we can get a better look at its freaky appearance. Wanted to lure it into a nice open area so you guys could get a really good look at it.
Never seen him so eager to die.
And I break out the kneecapper in order to cripple it. One of the best guns from my early levels that I still keep in my arsenal. And it's partially crippled. And now it's fully crippled. Sweet.
How's it feel getting your arse kicked by a girl?
Kate's so funny with her one-liners. So now it's crippled, we can get a close-up look at it. Yeah, this was a great suggestion. This thing is pretty freaking crazy. Kind of looks like a cross between a jumbo shrimp and a praying mantis. In fact, there's even a type of crustacean called a mantis shrimp. Doesn't look exactly like this, but I'm sure that's where they drew the inspiration. Made its head and arms actually more praying mantis-like. Pretty wild. What a pitiful moan it's got. Sounds like a really sad cow. I almost feel bad for it now. Of course, you get too close and it lashes out. It's pretty interesting because in real life, some animals in nature have a defense mechanism called distraction displays. It comes in many forms, usually types of camouflage and stuff, but sometimes they can get even more clever. There's a type of bird called a killdeer that will fake being wounded to draw predators away from its nest. Once the predators follow the limping bird far enough away from the nest, the bird just gets up and flies away. I think the mourning dove does that too. There's also a type of South American wildcat called a margay that can mimic the sound of wounded baby monkeys to draw out the adults. As the adult monkeys come out of hiding to help, the margay bounces. That's something like what this fog crawler is doing here. I mean, think about it. The developers totally didn't have to go the extra mile and give it a sad moan when it's crippled. That's totally like an added extra. But it does make me want to get close to it and inspect it. But see, that's when it strikes. Fascinating. So weird looking. Definitely one of the craziest creatures in Fallout 4. Supposedly it's one of the most powerful creatures in the game too, the enraged variety, but it looks like the kneecapper works pretty dang well on it. Alright, time to put it out of its misery and move on to our next specimen in the menagerie. Here we have bloodworms from Nuka World. Most of them are found in Dry Rock Gulch. That was a fun couple of episodes to make. Gave some factoids about bloodworms in the past episode as well. Here I am taking a few of them out. Pretty freaky looking, especially when they burst out of the ground and rush at you like that.
Leaning over the railings at the Gator Wrestling Show. Thank you.
You're gonna pay.
Definitely the freakiest part about these things, though, is the way that they burst out of the belly of the Brahmin. That surprised the crap out of me the first time that happened. Now, that's a crazy creature. And then lastly, I take out the queen here. Great suggestion, guys. Moving on to number 6, the Savage Hermit Crab. This footage comes from another monster matchup where I test out my new machine gun version of the splatter cannon. Fun episode. The craziest thing about this creature is that it uses a van as its shell. So while I'm shooting this thing, here's a cool factoid you might not have known. Hermit crabs in real life take their shells from other dead hermit crabs. Sometimes they even fight with each other over the good ones. Hermit crabs will basically go out seeking an upgrade, find a better shell, leave its old one behind, crawl into the new digs, then head off styling and profiling. Nature is pretty crazy. Coming in at number 5, we have ghouls. Interestingly enough, ghouls originated from Arabic folklore where it was spelled G-H-U-L. They were originally considered demons from the underworld until they were fictionalized in the famous Arabian Nights, where they became more like the graveyard type undead we're familiar with today. Now before I start the clip, I just wanted to let you know that I tried to get footage of the pink ghouls from the Suffolk County Charter School, but I had already cleared the place out a long time ago and apparently they don't respawn. Sorry about that, but you'll be able to see a quick shot of the painted ghouls from Nuka World as I show you footage of a few unique ghouls in the game, starting with Oswald the Outrageous.
The show you've all been waiting for. Oswald the Outrageous.
I'll admit, I didn't think you'd make it this far. I can tell you're different than the usual invaders. Not bother with the usual tricks and illusions I use to scare off the superstitious. When the bombs fell, everything changed. We changed. And somehow, I received a gift. Actual magic. The stuff of legends. Perhaps you'd like to see some. Up! No matter what you do.
That was fun, turning him to an icicle with my cryolator.
We get to watch.
Another cool, unique ghoul is Hancock. This footage is from my Silver Shroud video. That was a really fun quest. Links in the description if you want to check that out.
You played your part in serving justice to those most deserving of it.
I'm gonna miss these little conversations. Ah, Kent, my man. Why the long face? You got what you wanted.
I was tortured. Almost died. It's not like the radio plays at all.
Hey, who hasn't been tortured from time to time? The price of throwing down with the man is always a few scars. Pick yourself up. Good neighbor's just a bit safer thanks to the two of you.
And the Shroud sidekick Kent.
What would the Shroud be without his faithful friend, Red Reinhardt?
This means a lot to me.
All right, at number 4 we have Gator Claws. Suggested by quite a few people, actually. These monstrosities can be found in Nuka World, usually in the Safari Adventure area. Yep, some kind of cross between an alligator and a deathclaw.
This is the part of the job that I
Next we have the Nuka Lurks. Another unique creature from Nuka World. A lot of your picks came from Nuka World, actually. My favorite of the DLC, in fact. Anyway, Mirelurks by themselves are pretty crazy, but Nuka Lurks have been sipping a little too much Nuka-Cola Quana, making them a little tougher and all glowy. I gave some factoids already about Mirelurks in my Out in Left Field quest, so I'll put links for that if you want to check it out. And we have a Nuka Lurk king and a queen as a little bonus footage. Blasted that thing's face off, damn!
Okay, who's first?
Love my stealthy sniper assassin, he's too cool. Okay, at number 2 we have the infamous Deathclaw. I was actually surprised at how many people wanted to see Deathclaws on the list, but I guess they are a solid staple of the Fallout series, so I was happy to include them. This footage is from my very first monster matchup where I took on an alpha Deathclaw at a pretty early level with nothing other than the Deliverer. Then we have another monster matchup I did later where I pit the Cryolator against a Deathclaw Matriarch. As you can see, I end up crippling it like I did with the fog crawler earlier. So I gave it a fighting chance to get back on its feet before finally taking it out. And last but not least, coming in at number 1 is the Red Death. By far the best suggestion of the bunch. I actually didn't even know about this thing until some of you suggested it. So I went and recorded the whole quest in its entirety. I'll be posting that in a few days as a separate video walkthrough because it's definitely a fun one. Included in that video are some tips on getting past a really annoying glitch that comes up that quest sometimes, so look out for that video. But here I am meeting the Red Death for the first time.
It can't be. That's the Red Death?
Are you sure this is it?
It's got to be the red glowing eyes. I mean, when the fog's thick, that little fella is deadly in his own fashion. The shoals around here are treacherous. A middling captain with a mite of curiosity would run aground for certain. And this far from shore, that'll end you.
Think we can handle it? We could always call in the Marines.
Oh, ha ha.
I totally didn't know what to expect, and they got me. They got me. Good one, Debs. I was expecting this massive monstrosity that was just gonna totally just demolish me, but there you go. It doesn't even attack you until provoked. It was almost too cute to kill, but it definitely deserved the number 1 spot in my opinion. It's just too crazy. I ended up taking it out with a few simple punches, and then I pick up the creature just to take a look at how weird it is. And then I go and dangle it in front of the mirror just for the lulz.
It wasn't supposed to be like this.
No, not the leg. Down, boy, down. Too funny. I wonder if this thing can be commanded with those charisma perks. I forget what they are. Animal Friend and Wasteland Whisperer, I think. That would be hilarious if you can get it to follow you around like a walking flashlight. Alright, anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Tons of fun, and I appreciate all the great suggestions in the original video. This video did take some work, so I'd love it if you guys could throw a like on it and share it around. Let's try to get this video to go viral. In the meantime, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos like this. And if you are subscribed, make sure you get that bell notification turned on so these videos are delivered right to your digital doorstep. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Skooled Zone. Peace out.